So, when you think about AI, what comes to mind? Probably a few giant companies, right? The ones always in the news. But what if I told you that's barely scratching the surface? Today we're going way beyond the headlines to look at the real, sprawling universe of AI development. Let's get into it.
I want to start with just one number, 1.8 million. That's how many different AI models are out there right now on the Hugging Face Hub, which is basically the world's biggest open library for AI. Now, a number that big isn't the work of a few companies. It's a sign of a massive global movement.
And right there, you see this huge gap between the story we're often told and what's actually going on. The common view, the one you get from the headlines, is that AI is just this race between a handful of tech giants. But the data tells a completely different story. It shows this rich, vibrant ecosystem with thousands of organizations, researchers, and solo developers all over the world building and sharing their work.
So that brings us to our first big question. Who are all these builders behind that 1.8 million number? Let's peel back the curtain and explore this unseen universe of AI creation.
And when you start looking, it's not who you'd expect. Sure, the big names are there, but they're not the whole story. You've got independent research institutions that are really leading the charge. You've got other big tech companies, IBM, NVIDIA, Apple, who are doing a ton of work that just doesn't make the headlines. And it is a truly global effort, with huge contributions coming from all over, from China to Europe and beyond.
Okay, so you have all these different people in all these different places. How on earth do they work together so effectively? Well, it turns out they're all using a shared foundation. Let's take a look at the universal AI toolkit that makes all of this possible.
At the heart of this entire ecosystem is a library called transformers. And the best way to think about it is like a universal engine block for AI. It gives everyone, no matter who they are, this standardized, really powerful and simple framework that they can build on top of. It doesn't matter if you're working with text, images, or sound, it's the common language that everyone speaks.
And this really gets to the core philosophy behind it all, right? The goal isn't to hoard this powerful technology, it's to democratize it, to get these cutting-edge tools into the hands of anyone who wants to build. And that open, collaborative spirit is exactly what's fueling that massive universe we were just talking about.
But it's not all smooth sailing. This incredible technology has a fundamental limit, a challenge that pretty much everyone in this global community is trying to crack. It's a major roadblock, and we call it the attention bottleneck.
So what's the catch here? If you have all this power and it's so accessible, what's stopping these models from, say, reading and understanding an entire library of books at once?
The problem is something called computational cost. The secret sauce that makes these models so smart, this thing called the attention mechanism, has a nasty habit. As you feed it more text, the amount of work it has to do doesn't just grow, it explodes. Doubling the text doesn't double the work, it quadruples it. So going from a short text to a long book just becomes incredibly expensive computationally speaking.
And get this, we're not talking about a small part of the process. For really long documents, that one attention step can take up 70 to 80% of the total processing time. It is, without a doubt, the single biggest bottleneck holding back truly long context AI.
So, you can probably guess what happened next, right? All of the smartest people in the field became laser-focused on one single goal: making attention efficient. How do you break through that computational wall?
And the research is kind of split into two main camps. On one side, you have an approach called linear attention, which basically tries to approximate the answer with much cheaper math. And on the other side, you have something called sparse attention, which takes a different route. It just cleverly figures out how to do less math in the first place.
We're going to zoom in on that second path, sparse attention, because the idea behind it is just really, really clever and offers a super powerful solution to this problem.
The core idea is simple, but it's genius. See, normally, every single word in a document has to pay attention to every other word. That's what causes that cost explosion. Sparse attention says, that's crazy, let's not do that. Instead, it intelligently identifies and focuses only on the most important chunks of information and just skips the rest.
And this isn't just some theory on a whiteboard. There's a cutting-edge, real-world version of this called native sparse attention, or NSA for short. And it's built from the ground up to be incredibly fast on the hardware we use today.
And the results? They're pretty stunning. For long pieces of text, NSA can be over 11 times faster than regular attention. You get this huge boost in efficiency, and here's the kicker. You do it without losing any performance. It's the best of both worlds.
Now, a speedup like that isn't just a small improvement, it's a game changer. It's the key that unlocks an entire new frontier of what AI can do. So what does this actually mean for us in the real world?
Well, why this all matters is that cracking this one problem suddenly makes a bunch of things that felt like science fiction actually possible. We're talking about models that can read and reason about an entire book, not just a few pages, AI that can understand a whole software project, chatbots that can have perfectly coherent, super long conversations, and it's the engine that's going to power the next generation of really complex autonomous agents.
And this brings us right back to where we started. You have this open, global ecosystem with nearly 2 million models ready to go. You have these universal tools that are now becoming exponentially faster and more powerful. So it just leaves you with one really exciting question. With these supercharged tools in their hands, what are a million builders going to create next?